Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas's Wednesday evening experience. I'm Reverend Laura, and it's my pleasure to be back here again with you. This month, for August, we're exploring the idea of wholeness. And so as we come to the end of the month here with our fifth Wednesday, I thought I'd take the time to just kind of wrap up what we've talked about this month as far as what this idea of wholeness is and what it means in our lives and how we can apply some of our spiritual principles and practices to have a greater experience of wholeness in our life. Now, as I said early on in our month, we're born whole. Each one of us comes into this world a complete and perfect being. We're not missing anything. We don't need to add anything to us. We are simply absolutely the expression of the divine. I think this is really evident when we spend time with little children, and we watch how they react. Everything there's no pretense or trying to hide who they are. If an infant is hungry, it cries. If it needs changing, it cries. If it's filled with joy, you get the smiles on its face. When it's just sitting there observing the world, you can see that contemplative look on its face. Infants are totally in the present moment with everything that's going on. Their inner expression of who they are is exactly the same as the outer expression of who they are. There's no hiding what they're bringing to each experience. And as children grow and develop, you can see this continue. The spontaneous joy that happens in a toddler when they just get the giggles and the laughter and just like you show them something that a balloon or a piece of candy or a new toy or a puppy, they're like so overwhelmed with joy, and every bit of that joy that they're feeling inside is absolutely present on the outside of their being. You can see it on their face, you can see it in their body movements. Everything is totally aligned. Same thing as when a toddler is upset. We've all seen a 2 or 3 year old having a tantrum because they are so upset. They have just everything about what's going on inside of them feels so wrong with them at that moment that it does nothing but express itself outwardly in exactly what they're feeling internally. But as we grow up, as we develop, we begin to learn that it's really not safe all the time to express ourselves totally 100% what's happening inside with the outside. Now, generally that happens with the things that are not so much the joy-filled things, but more with the things that are problematic in our lives. And we begin to keep that inside and try to put on a happy face so that people don't see it. Because we've learned, through things that society tells children, keep don't cry, or, be a good girl or a good boy, or, be respectful and all the things that we need to do in a way that doesn't explain what the real meaning is of that, but it's more of a way to stop some behavior that the child is exhibiting in that moment. They're told to do different things or to be something different than what they are because for whatever reason, whatever expression they're showing at that moment, the adult's not happy with it. And so children learn very quickly where it's safe to be themselves and where it isn't safe to be themselves. And, as we go through school, the same thing. We've got these standardized education where, you get a classroom of 30 or 35 kids and everybody's expected to behave in a certain way, but not everybody's feeling the same way at the same time. But they learn that they have to conform to that and hide who they're feeling, what they're feeling inside, because it isn't safe to express it outwardly. It isn't safe to be different. This happens with kids that are challenged in their learning. They learn very quickly that the school is not a safe place for them. It happens with kids that are maybe wondering about their gender identity, their sexuality, and so forth. That becomes very unsafe for children to be around. I mean, fortunately, the world is changing rapidly, and I'm delighted to see how that is shifting and how that's going to affect the children as they are maturing now in our society, where things are a little more acceptable. Well, depending on their family and the people that are around them, but But we learn very quickly where we can be our real self and where we have to hide who we are. And all of this leads to this feeling of a divided life. Who I am inside doesn't match how I'm showing up outside, my outward expression. And that can lead to a lot of pain. That feeling that we are not safe to be who we feel like we are is a very painful experience for people. And it can lead to so many of the problems that we see showing up in our world. I think pretty much every kind of addiction comes from that idea of I'm not safe within myself. I need to find something to make me feel better about who I am, because what I feel inside of me is not safe or not acceptable for me to express who I am. And, so much of the violence that we see in the world is done because of this. It's either done to people who are expressing differently, or it's done by people who have been so shut down in their lives that it finally just burst out as violence. And so much of the aggression that we see in our world today, I believe, stems from this feeling of this paradox of who I feel like I am inside with how I'm forced to show up in the world outside. I've been on a journey of finding my authentic life, and as I've developed as a speaker over the years, the one thing that people comment more and more to me, they'll come up to me after I've given a talk, and just be overwhelmed by the authenticity that I show up with, and by the willingness to be vulnerable. Because to show up as a real person takes a lot of courage. To show up as you feel like you are inside is a monumental, courageous step to actually begin to do that, and to face the rejection of society, face the rejection of your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people around you, people you don't even know. To feel that rejection is painful, and so we do pretty much anything we can to stop that. But I know from my own experience that when we step out of that, when we allow ourselves to actually express authentically, so that our outer expression aligns with who we feel like we are inside, that is true freedom. That is a true sense of coming into my own, coming into a way of being that I like to describe as unapologetic confidence. It's like, this is who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm not here to apologize to anybody for anything about myself anymore. I've done that too many years in my life, and I don't want to do it anymore, and I absolutely refuse to. So now I do everything with a sense of confidence that I did not have before, as far as expressing who I feel like I am inside. And so I think that there's a great deal of freedom that can be gained in all of our lives if we take the time to, well, one, figure out who we really are inside. For me, it was a kind of a process of unfolding. Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we like to talk about peeling the onion, and you're peeling away each layer till you can actually get to that core. Because all of these things, all these layers of the onion, have been built up over the years to keep us feeling safe, to keep us from risking the ire of society, and risking rejection, and actually risking outright violence against us. And so as we peel that onion away and we get to that core of it, that true center of who we really are, there's a liberation there that is unbelievable. This sense of walking and talking in alignment with who I feel like I am inside. And I think that's one of our greatest spiritual journeys, is to get to that place where we are actually beginning to feel that. Now, there are hundreds of different practices that can do this, but I think starting with some meditation and contemplation about who am I? Who am I inside? Who is this expression that I show up as here? Who is it, and what am I hiding from the world? What is it I'm afraid of that's going to happen here? And I'm not trying to minimize the fears, because some of the fears are very real. Many people have, even as to the point of losing their lives because they express who they are, making their outward expression line up with who they feel like they are inside. And so as we're working through some of these spiritual practices, try to get a sense of what it is that you're really called to be, who it is you're really called to be, how it is you're really called to be in the world, and see where you're not being that. And then you can take the steps to do that. For me, I do my spiritual practices and I ask questions with the intention of getting an answer whenever I go into any of my spiritual practices. And that, I think, has been more profound. Sometimes, we ask these questions and, the quality of the questions can make a big difference. So if we're asking questions like, why is this happening to me? That's a whole different kind of feeling than what's here for me to know. Or how what is my true expression, and how am I to know what that true expression is? It feels a lot different. One of the people I study, Joel Goldsmith, says that you can tell how well you've progressed spiritually by the quality of questions that you ask yourself. So if you're asking those questions that make you feel like somebody's doing something to you, that's a whole different level of consciousness than asking, how can I use this information to affect a change in my life that makes me feel like I'm more in alignment, more congruent with who I am. We have fabulous spiritual practitioners in our movement that will help you work through some of these ideas. If you're not sure, you can talk to one of our spiritual practitioners or our ministers and see what's really happening here. What are the beliefs that are operating in my life right now that I may not be aware of. We call those the hidden beliefs, the things that are active in our lives that have been so deeply ingrained that we're not even aware that they're happening in our lives. And to know the truth for you and to help you move through these processes. All of our spiritual work that we do, reading, contemplation, study, meditation, journaling, prayer, all of the things that we do are about personal transformation. They're about getting us to that place where we feel like we've come here to be that whole and perfect being that we actually arrived on this plane of existence as, and growing back into that. Because like I said, we've had all these layers of things put upon us over the years that have helped us, or helped keep it hidden who we are. I've been studying the work of Parker Palmer, and he has a book called The Hidden Wholeness. And that's what it is. Our wholeness has been hidden inside of us. It's there all along. Michael Beckwith says all spiritual growth is about releasing. So it's not about adding anything to ourselves. It's about letting go of the things that we put upon ourselves to hide who we are, to hide our wholeness, to hide our authentic self. And I think this is a monumental journey for each one of us to undertake at our own pace, in our own way, through our own process, to be that authentic place where spirit shows up. God loves wondrous diversity. And so each one of us is here to be a unique and perfect expression of the divine, just the way that we show up. And as I said, this is world work that will help us get to a place where our society actually begins to shift in consciousness, because more people are expressing themselves authentically. So if you're interested in working with a practitioner, please go to our website, cslglv.org. Look on there. We have a list of all of our practitioners. Their phone numbers are listed there, contact information. So reach out to one of our practitioners, and they will be happy to set up an appointment with you to have a spiritual session with you to see if they can help uncover what's happening in your life for you. And always we have available prayer. Prayer is free. You never have to pay anything for that. And so our website, again, cslglv.org, has a prayer request page. Go on there, request prayer, and all of our Ministry of Prayer, our spiritual practitioners and ministers will be happy to hold you in consciousness. Prayer works, folks. It works to change conditions. And so if you're working on something in your life right now, reach out. Reach out. I love the phrase, we take one step towards God and God takes 1,000 steps towards us. We've got to ask. We've got to reach out and connect with someone that will help us know the truth. So, check us out on our YouTube page. We have wonderful meditations, and there's talks. Just the message has been taken out of my Sunday talk, so you can listen to that in abbreviated form. On Mondays we have, Tuesdays and Saturdays we have meditations. Fridays we have our spiritual soundscape, which is some of our phenomenal music that's out there. On Thursday mornings I do an abbreviated spiritual practice called Keeping It Real. So that broadcasts at 9 a.m. on Thursday mornings, but of course you can watch it at any time on our YouTube channel. We have a rich and diverse amount of material there for you, for your spiritual transformation, for your journey through this thing we call life. So hope you check back with us again next week. We're going to be talking about the idea of unity for the month of September. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.